So when I show up, it's for business and pleasure because my business is nothing but pleasure.
There you go. We have many guests at the rice cooker today. We have secret Ava pilots, Agnos, and All Hell Breaks Loops behind the scenes. What if I did the whole interview and I was like, tell me about your medical history? Okay, that's terrifying. Yeah. So I'm going to explore some Frank lore.
Yeah, I have a lot of lore.
I met the Frank at Tape Swap in Brooklyn. I made up 3 different reasons to be in town that weekend because there was so much going on.
Yeah.
And and you were very accommodating because you told me that Frank means, honesty.
Yeah, hot dog and honest.
Hot dog and honesty, which are 2 of my favorite things.
Yeah, I love wieners and I love telling the truth.
So we are on a lot of bills together. I'm hoping we're not like diversity hires.
Sometimes I think about that sometimes. I'm like,
but
do you
I think
really
it's
want me
we
here?
vibe. I think it's because we're a good show.
Mm-hmm.
But so I wanted to talk about Frank Lore Universe because where did you spark your kind of the first years of like your internet building of an audience? Like,
so
how did that? How old were
early.
you, and what platform was it?
I want to say like I made my first like account in like 2008, so I was like 16 when I wanted to be serious. Like I made the name FrankJavCee because my real name is Francisco Javier Contreras, and I just shortened it into FrankJavCee, and that was my email name to go like apply to colleges and stuff. But it was like also around the same time Google bought YouTube, so then my Google name just became my YouTube name, and then I just started uploading. I used to upload on, I think it was called Pure Volume. There was like it was like MySpace.
It was a bridge between MySpace and maybe when Bandcamp used to kind of be like MySpace back in the day, but I kind of remember it being a bridge from MySpace music people to becoming YouTube music people, I guess. Yeah.
So I was definitely on all of that. Like, I guess the early days, it was just, I used to make a lot of 8-bit. So I remember my first ever, like, private laptop was a Sony Vaio Windows 2000 in, like, 2010. Mm-hmm. And on that, the processing speed wasn't that great, so I couldn't, like, load full VSTs and stuff. So I just use 8-bit, and I just make a bunch of 8-bits.
You had to do VSTs.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were doing VST. When did you discover... When you became sort of like a YouTube even audience goer, did you have people that you were like, oh, that channel inspires me and I want to be like that? Or were you just gonna be wild on YouTube?
No, I had a lot of YouTube inspiration, but a lot of them have been canceled, so I can't really talk about it anymore. But I definitely saw people and I was like, oh, I could do this. Like, the weird thing is, like, one of my secret truths about why I did YouTube was because I had just dropped out of college. So I went to Cal State Long Beach, where a lot of people, it's crazy, like, when we met in New York, I was like, oh yeah, I just assumed everyone was from the East Coast. So when I met you, I thought you were from the East Coast, and you're like, oh, I'm from Long Beach. I'm like, I'm from Long Beach.
Yeah, I know.
We're just we're
like 6 miles away from each other.
Yeah. So I dropped out of Cal State Long. I went there for film because my favorite part about going to school was watching movie, and I liked the idea of going to school and watch a movie, and that was it. But I dropped out, and I had to pay off my student loans. So
how many years of student loans? But that's a Cal State student loan.
Yeah, it was like 4.
That's not like I have LMU student loans, which is like a USC student loan, which is not fair.
Like, I didn't want to do that. Like, I think it's crazy. Like, they're like, oh, you just turned 18. Here's like $60,000 in debt, and it's like, good luck.
If the government is giving 18-year-olds like $300,000, I think the government needs to learn a lesson.
Yeah, something's wrong with that. It's a little strange. But anyways, I didn't want to get a regular job, so I knew at the time YouTube was popping off, and I was like, if I just do YouTube, I could get enough money to pay off my loans. And synchronous...
Had you gotten money from YouTube prior to that? Like, were you getting little like residual checks?
It was like
stuff?
At the point, like, I was doing a bunch of like 8-bit covers, like singing videos, like just a bunch of like random musical stuff. It was all musical. It was very just like, here's a song, here's a song, here's a song. So at that point, I maybe had like 100,000 plays, and that was like enough to give me like $250. So I was like, okay, I could take it serious. So the first thing I noticed was I started a channel in like 2013. It's like a hidden channel, but it was like me explaining.
Is it still around?
Yeah. So it was me explaining how I made 8-bit, and it was just like a exercise on like, oh, let's see if I could do that. And I uploaded it, and it got like 10K views in a week. and a lot of people commenting. And I was like, what's up with that? So then actually early on, I read up on YouTube and how to like play the algorithm and how everything is thumbnail and like.
You told me, didn't you have like a YouTube for Dummies book or
yeah,
something?
Yeah. It was like
was it really called YouTube for Dummies?
I forget. It was like a PDF that someone uploaded on 4chan in like 2013, and I read it, and it was just like, oh yeah, comment on every video. So like for the longest time, my little 8-bit guy, I would comment on every video I would see and just like leave a good comment because I didn't want people to hate me.
I totally know the 8-bit guy. It's the little red,
the little
shirt
red
and little
he has a little
eyes.
swoopy hair. Yeah, that was like just me in high school. And so that guy, like I remember on 4chan, someone was like, why is this F slur everywhere? And I was just like,
but you know
I'm
what?
commenting on everything.
But that's jealous of your success.
Well, yeah. And so like within 2 years, I went from like, I want to say 1,000 subscribers to 250,000 subscribers. And it was a passion project at the time. Like I really like making videos. So I found my niche when nobody else was doing what I did. And I remember Vaporwave was just like bubbling on the horizon. It had been out for like 2 years and I had been like listening to it off and on. But I was like really satirical about it because I told you I just dropped out of school. I was also signed to a label. I was signed to like a major label and I was doing top lining for like big EDM artists. You know what top lining is?
Is it like ghostwriting for beats?
So you sing on top of their beats and like they give it to singers and stuff. So I wrote a couple.
So you're recording the demos.
Yeah. And
writing little hooks and seeing if it works.
Yeah, I got that through Craigslist. I was looking on Craigslist for blog writers, and they were like, "Oh, we want to find new music, blah blah." So I sent them my music, and they're like, "How do I get in contact with this guy?" I'm like, "Well, it's me," and they're like, "Oh, cool." I was gonna say flew out to Hollywood, like
flew out to Hollywood, like it's not down the freeway.
Drove to Hollywood. Met with like all these singer, songwriter, producers, music publishing people. But this is like my first ever like stint in the music industry.
How old were you when you were meeting music publishing people? Because this is
18.
already scary. See, this feels very predatory to me.
Yeah,
like all my red flags, all my hairs on my neck are like standing
up.
I
was young. I was dumb. I was like, I had twink energy. So,
but you were galvanizing an audience that was a complete fucking mystery to these big execs.
Yeah, they had no idea what I was
wanted
doing.
to get on the ground floor with you.
I specifically remember the main like guy who owned the publishing thing. He's like, "Stop doing YouTube. You should focus on writing music." And I was like,
well, also, there's always the threat of the new media.
Yeah.
And if YouTube is a new media that is threatening that industry at that time when you were 18, of course they're trying to take you off of YouTube.
And it was like a decade ago.
Yeah, of course they're trying to take you off YouTube. YouTube's the biggest threat to them at that point.
And then I signed like a crazy-ass deal. And then like basically in 2016, they found out like my YouTube was popping. And they were like, oh, this is like contract shit. And I had to like pay them back all the money they invested in me, which was like $7,000, which at the time that was like all the money I had made on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know, it was a weird point in my life, but like,
you learned a lot about the music industry the hard way.
They are so sus. Like I still get emails to this day. They're like, "We're a publishing agency. We'll make your music go viral. This and that." I'm like, I don't trust you. You just want to steal my music.
You do that from your phone.
Yeah, I can do whatever. Yeah,
like yeah, you're fine.
So,
and that is what threatens these big systems. And then they try to, I don't know, like Pokemon catch you and like distill what you're doing, and then it's just so washed out and watered down. It's not what you and your audience wanted to begin with.
And then early on, they kept telling me that like the stuff I was doing wasn't good enough, and that the stuff that they liked from me were things that I didn't like. So it was like an obvious like imbalance of like where we were going creatively. So that's why like now when I collaborate with people,
you're probably 10 years ahead of them.
Yeah,
like
I just it's like if it feels good, if it works good, it's just out there,
Yeah.
So like I'm very more optimistic about the music industry. I know how it works now, if that makes any sense. So I'm doing my own thing. The Spotify numbers are Spotifying. The TikTok viral trends are viraling, So like that's also something like I think about now. It's like I need to make music purposely for the idea of how music is consumed nowadays.
Yeah.
So like
but you consume that music that way, and that is why I think it's hard for people who have been in an industry that made money purely from ticket and record sales, and maybe at that point iTunes sales, which is kind of a dead platform now. And yeah, I think you figured out you're directly connected and like jacked into your audience, and that's fine.
Yeah. Me and my audience, we definitely are jacked into each other.
Oh yeah, you guys. I heard you guys are jacking all the time.
Yeah, my audience.
That's what I heard.
That's
what I read on Reddit.
They're jacking.
they're jacking everywhere.
Yeah. That's a new house genre. Have you ever heard that song? It's like jacking.
Jacking, yeah. Oh no, I remember. I've been jacking since the day I was born.
Yeah. Those are bangers.
Jacking from birth.
I love Jack in the Box. I love their tacos.
I love their mini tacos.
Mm-hmm. I'd write them a jingle.
I love that Jack in the Box markets boxes for stoners. They're just like, listen,
That's like
it's 3 a.m. We know what your body wants. We're not playing around. You're not playing around.
It's very Californian.
Yeah, probably.
You know, one time, me and Marian, we went to go to Jack in the Box at 3 a.m, and we were like the only ones in there, and there was only like one woman working. And I was like,
yeah, sometimes it's one person.
yeah, it was crazy. I was like,
and then all of us, we roll up at 3 o'clock after work, and we're all like,
well, I'm pretty sure it's just like they're all like, I don't know. I've never worked at a Jack in the Box. I can't say.
I've worked in food. I worked in pizza.
Okay.
But that was, we closed at a respectable hour. We didn't deal with a lot of late night crowds.
The only real job I've ever had was in my middle school student store, and I had to sell chips too.
Was that really like that's your retail background?
Yeah, my retail background was that, and they were horrible. I hated those kids. They were so mean to me. So ever since then, like I said, I would never do it, and then I just haven't.
There you go. You don't have to go back to retail. You don't have to go back to the poll. You're fine.
We'll see what happens. Like with the music industry, it's so crazy. Like there's these kids in Brazil making like $1 Brazilian off of like.
Did you count a Brazilian?
Yeah. But it's like just because their songs go viral, and like it's all interesting too, because like when you go viral, you become trendy where people copy you. So when I first started making my YouTube tutorials, like I told you, nobody else was doing them. There's like maybe this other guy, I forgot his name, and he was like from LA. We were trying
and
to
you
collab.
mean like your FL Studio?
Yeah,
tutorials?
where it was like a parody, but I was like making fun of the genre or educated. Like some of the thing that blew my mind was I just thought everyone knew what I knew until you find out when you say it. Like people are like, "What? I didn't know chill wave was a thing. I didn't know like acid house was like." People don't know until they're like told, you know. So like I started doing that stuff.
A lot of people think they discovered or invented a genre that's like a cold 30 years old.
Yeah.
But part of me doesn't want to like squash their joy.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, you're in your joyous exploration, do it, but someday someone's going to tell you that's just acid house.
Yeah.
Like, you know. Actually, you're playing jazz from the 40s, but it's cool. It's fine.
Actually, it's called new jazz.
New, with an NU.
Yeah, NU and an umlaut. But yeah, when I started doing it, there was this guy, no shade, but he like would just copy my exact tutorials. Like he just like did it like copy and
when you
upload
read
it.
those little how to do YouTube books and things like that, half the time they're just telling you to copy other people.
It's fun, but that's what memes are. You know, copy, reproduce, replicate, and
copy, make it for a different niche audience, and then replicate.
Like there's this girl I follow who does like art videos, and a guy from Portugal just did the exact same thing, just translated in Portuguese and like the exact same video.
God bless.
Yeah.
Bless God.
But that's how music is like, you know, when something goes big, it's a copy of a copy and it gets reproduced.
And that's kind of the age we live in the attention span we live in. Like, I didn't like that meme last week, but now that someone twisted and put an anime twist on it, now I love it. And that's kind of how we do stuff. I mean, I did want to talk to you about meme stuff because specifically we live in an age, and I feel like you and I particularly, we play a lot of bills that whether they overtly say it or not, we are meme DJ raves.
Yeah, it's meme.
We DJ meme raves.
Meme J.
Where did the rise of the meme rave? And I'm maybe 10 or 15 years older than you. I know where the rave came from.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell me where the rise of the meme rave.
Because it's funny, I remember specifically my first ever show. I wanted it to be like kind of meme-esque themed, and it was just like basically two. 500-watt speakers in like some random guy's warehouse in the arts district. And I was like, oh, this is like where it started. Like, well, that's where I started like performing. It was like 2016 era. But around that time, a lot of people were like, oh, meme party or themed parties. But now it's like we kind of live in this like, what's it called, that Halloween store that shows up every so often?
Spirit Halloween?
Yeah, like all the raves are Spirit Halloween-esque if you pay attention.
They're packaged, they're ready to go.
Yeah, it's like a very distinct theme, and then you just do it. I just think it's like human nature to want to dress up and have a good time. So I love playing like, you know, the Shrek raves, the SpongeBob raves, the Sailor Moon raves. We're doing the Pokemon rave.
Yeah.
So like,
I also feel like dance culture came from this really. It started as a meme rave. Like raving in the 90s was going out there with fucking Lion King necklaces. All our stuff was Sesame Street. We were wearing big baggy Sesame Street shirts, Looney Tunes shirts, and then somewhere like in the EDM era of it, the electro, by the time we get to the mid-2000s, 2010s, like electronic music is taking itself a little too seriously.
Yeah, it gets like, you know,
too
everyone's
religious.
in black and like they're
it was the hoodie era, like 2005 to like 2015's the hoodie era.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go to a rave and I'm gonna wear all black and I'm gonna look like a lone shooter and we're gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
But there's this re-embracing of like, oh, like electronic music can be fun.
Yeah.
Older song like Alice DJ, Cotton Eye Joe. Like
I
can find joy in that again now. So there's this cycle of like, it's okay to, I don't know, be colorful and nostalgic and have electronic music at the same time again.
My thing is, I think EDM is also fitness. Like, it's all just like,
I mean, listen, I'll be honest, is the only exercise I get all week is like DJing and jiggling around.
Yeah.
So, but if that's what I have to do, then
I remember someone one time told me that there's only 2 types of music: fertility dance and war chant. And EDM is a fertility dance.
Women do both every day. So.
I mean, I don't really like. I think I could go to like a very aggressive, warlike music event, but I won't have fun there. I don't like getting pushed around and stomped, and you know.
Yeah.
I'd rather be jiggling and wiggling, you know. Like, so that's why I chose electronic dance music as my, I guess, canvas.
I also think we have a generation that like they don't party at home.
Yeah.
Like I grew up like late 90s, early 2000s, and that was like the prime era of the house party.
Yeah.
The house party with DJs, and now kids like, and when I say kids, I mean like someone under 30.
Yeah.
Now you can't have a party at a house without 5 security cameras, and you know, like, you know, if you're
who could even afford housing?
Yeah. Who could? You know what? We don't have house parties.
And has
Can't
a
nobody
house,
afford a house?
Yeah,
Like,
in a space too, because like I forgot like I used to try to like practice at Marion's house, but she lived in like a really upper class neighborhood. They would call the cops on us.
Was this Long Beach?
Yeah, well, Signal Hill,
the Orange County donut hole of Long Beach. Because I live in a snitches get stitches type neighborhood, and we rage till 3. Like Halloween.
That's why
you've been here, right?
It was
like
fun.
Halloween night, like the parties go till 3, and nobody says shit.
I'm trying to find that balance, especially in LA.
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm like, this is the neighborhood to try it.
Yeah. House parties.
I love going to houses. And I think because there's no house parties, like you gotta go when you're out, you have to like find your joy, and I think that's why people find so much joy in the pop culture, anime raves and raves and stuff like that.
But also like just overall, like getting a drink here or just like a space, like I think it was like $20 for like a Truly at a music festival I went to.
Oh yeah.
And then I was in
for
Raleigh,
a $6
North Carolina.
bottle of water, like. Yeah.
I was in Raleigh, North Carolina at a gay bear bar, and I got a rum and coke for like $3.
There you go. That's what's up. It's crazy
like,
when you go to Canada and like you give them $5 and there's change for a drink.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Change for a drink? That's wild.
But it's all just capitalism. Like, you have, like, you know, the music industry, what I tell people, I'm like, the music industry is when you make music and you make money. So like, as soon as you get money involved, it gets like a completely different ballgame.
Yeah. Because a lot of times when we DJ, you know, we're out there and we're DJing, and ultimately we're getting paid by the bar tab.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or we're getting paid by the promoter or the product that's being advertised. And sometimes that product is dragon dildos.
Yeah.
Sometimes that product is vodka. Sometimes that product is, I don't know, a makeup palette.
Yeah.
Like, but it's kind of weird. Like we don't always get paid like for our art for art's sake. We get paid because like some kind of sponsorship was attached, you know.
I mean, I be doing these live shows not because it's what I do for finances. I do it for passion and love. Like, I show up to cities because I want to play, I want to meet people, and most of my income just comes from streaming. Like, it's just like all my music streams. I
definitely, when I travel, like just like when Tape Swap and stuff like that, if I'm going to a big city, does someone from my agency have someone from another agency I should meet with there?
Yeah.
Should I do a guest speaking thing at a university while I'm there? Do I have friends that are like like when I go up north, a lot of times it's a DJ gig and then I guest speak at a classroom or something. And I always try to make my little trips worthwhile because I want to keep these networks and I want to keep like going and kind of like flowing through this creative conversation in different ways.
So when I show up, it's for business and pleasure because my business is nothing but pleasure.
There you go. That's the t-shirt logo.
I remember, like, you know, do you know what the oldest profession is?
Well, yeah, it's praising the Lord.
Mm-hmm. No, I consider it entertainment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, entertaining someone. Some people think it's prostitution. I think it's entertainment.
I couldn't figure out, like the other day, I was like, I'll bet selling food is like the oldest business in the world next to selling your body.
Yeah. So like, I feel like music is like a very, like it's like that almost, but it's like in its own compartmentalized thing. Yeah. So yeah, I'm an entertainer.
I like to talk a little bit about when, do people ever, because you have a fan base, like we have literally been at an In-N-Out and like kids or like people are like taking pictures of you and like
oop, doop, doop, doop.
Yeah,
you remember
and I'm
when
like,
we did that show and then like those kids were like hi and then they didn't even go to the gig.
They didn't even go to the gig, like, but people approach you in public. But do people ever approach you and like want you to give them like creative advice? How do I become like you?
Yeah, all
Frank?
the time.
How do I become a musician? Because you do these tutorials, and I feel like you're already looked to as a person that like
it is very
gives
mentory. But at the same time, I'm like still like I was discovering how to do it too. So like I felt like almost like what's the word? As I was doing it, people were like, "How did you do it?" And I'm like, "I'm literally doing it in front of you." But I also felt like I don't want to use the word fraud, but I felt like I'm still not hyper successful, but to them they thought I was hyper successful. Yeah. So it's like right now I have the most success in my career, but I still feel like it took like over a decade just to get there. Mm-hmm. And a lot of like just like little micromanaging and talking to people and meeting people, but I always give advice, you know.
What do people commonly ask you? Like, what's a question you commonly get asked? Some kid is like, "I love your channel. How do I?"
Yeah, what they always say is I love your videos, but the issue is like I haven't done them in like 6 years. But like the thing is, also people are finding me now. I get new people that are like, "Why haven't you uploaded in 6 years? I just found you. Please make something." Like,
but what's weird? You did do like a video essay kind of recently, right?
Which one?
Didn't you do something where you were like reading something? Like, what was your most recent YouTube interaction?
Oh, I don't know. It's been a while. Yeah. This is like my first YouTube. Has it really been
6 years?
Yeah. Well, since I personally like sat down and did it, it's just hard because like I don't like saying like, "Oh, I have ADHD" or something. But like I would sit down and I'd be like, "I can't write," and I'd just like leave.
But maybe your head's just not there, and it's not what you're supposed to be.
It's not in my head or my heart right now. Right now, it's just DJing and showing up and being live. I guess like just meeting people because like I've always wanted to be a musician. And so I've always wanted to do this. So I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's just like YouTube is just a different game. It also takes up a lot of time too. I remember going through my old files and it would take me like maybe like some of them would take like a week to make, a week of full like, 9 to 5. And then when it was over, I only got like 100,000 views and I was like, I'm a failure.
That was your own personal like level of grading.
You know what's funny is I think I manifested my exact level of where I stopped because when I first started I was like I want 250,000 subscribers, 250,000. Then when I got it I was like, oh, I got it. And then like it just like I was like, what do I do now?
How do you now, like having done all of that, been on multiple platforms, describe how you measure sort of success now?
I think it's just happiness. Like if I'm happy I feel successful. And that's about it. And I'm happy right now. So
I can see you making a piece of art that really entertains you and not necessarily obsessing over it too much.
Like I make stuff that makes me laugh. Like, do you remember you helped me with this idea, the Old Man Yowie song, and like I did. I'm
so sorry that I put that like earworm in your head.
Good. Like I uploaded it. I don't think it got like a bunch of likes. It didn't go viral, but like the people that fucked with it.
But you know what? I loved it. Barry loved it, and that's your core audience.
Yeah, and that's all I was.
That's your Yowie audience,
Old Man Yowie.
What's like the next big thing you want to like get to?
Oh well, I do want to release some more music. Like that's it. Like I have over 1,000 FL Studio projects on my Google Drive.
Or what do you like, Prince? Like,
yes, what? And like the thing is, like I also like realized like Marion doesn't know how to like access that.
So if you go, that's it.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that too. So I do have
put that on the cloud.
Yeah, it's on the cloud. I have a couple friends that I'd be like, okay, if ever I just explode, here's my access and release it for me.
That's
I like
good.
People that know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, I do have backups and stuff. The will and everything.
So is it just releasing that like 1,000 bits of media is like?
So it'd probably just like be like all of them, just the project names of the projects, because like I would like my biggest bittersweet. So I've been really into the idea of anti-memes recently. Mm-hmm. So anti-memes are things you forget. are
Okay.
things you keep hidden, like passwords, secrets, and like just things that are forgettable, like throughout time. Like, you know how like we have like the most popular songs of the past get like re-brought back, and they're like, oh, it was good. What about all the ones that fail, that like drop off, that nobody hears? That's like
maybe they weren't top 40, they were
Yeah.
top 50 or
and
60.
they get forgotten, and like I don't want to be forgotten like that. I want my meme to continue to thrive.
All right.
So, yeah,
So
just
memes as a
releasing.
means of preservation.
Yeah, that's all it is, a memory. I mean, one day this will be a memory.
That's too existential.
You know what's funny? Like, I was talking to Aaron about, like, I was like, oh yeah, Crystal Nostalgia. Now it's just nostalgia to us.
Oh, it's nostalgia free, nostalgia light.
Yeah. And you know what's like all the Vaporwave parties are all nostalgia something. So, like, whenever I'm like, give it up for, I'm like, which one is it? Nostalgia loud.
Nostalgia wave frame.
It's all nostalgia. But I don't know. I like the present now. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna have you back another time. And
Yeah, because I want to do a DJ set.
I want you to do a DJ set, and I want you to come do the nighttime setting because
Yeah.
like the room looks really crazy for nighttime.
yeah.
So next season we'll have
And
you
I
back.
need to make more remixes for it.
Do it. Why not?
I am.
All right. Thank you for joining us, FrankJavCee. Thank you, Rice Cooker. You did it, Frank.
Yay.
You did it.